forward interaction with the environment. All right, so basically, how are humans working with the world around them? All right, so what creations has the civilization made? How do they work with the environment? So some examples of this. If you look at the first one, migration, movement of people, right? So as far as migration is concerned, has the people changed the environment at all so that they can easily move around the country? All right, so if you think about the United States, for example, okay, this would count for two. It would count for migration and technology. We have a very, very good highway system. All right, so most countries don't have anything like this. We have roads that connect every major city in the country. All right, this would be something that's unique to the United States. Now, I'm not saying other countries don't have highway systems, but they're not as organized and elaborate as ours. That's something really good that we have. All right, another thing, natural resources. Just to continue with migration real quick. So, if a country doesn't have a really good highway system, maybe they don't really travel with cars. Maybe they boat a lot more because it's on a big river or something. Maybe they take trains. They've got a really good train system. That would count as migration or movement. I want you to think about how people move. All right, natural resources. This is one I'm sure most of you are already familiar with. But what sort of natural resources are in your country? So, what things come from the earth? Is there oil? Is there salt? Is there gold, coal, fresh water? Okay, is there lumber? Is there a lot of forested areas? Those would be some things to consider. Okay, and that will be pretty easy to find. All right, settlement patterns. This is a fancy way of saying where do most people live in your country. So if you were looking at the United States, all right, this map shows population density in different areas. You'd see that most people live in this Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. area, okay? So where we are. Okay, there's also a lot of people who live on the West Coast, the rest of the East Coast, and then there's a few places in the Midwest that also have a lot of land or a lot of people living there too. Okay, but you would never say that there's a settlement pattern in the middle of Montana up here because not that many people live up there. It's way too cold and not a lot of people want to live there. I understand it. You can't farm very well. It's not really the best place. But, a lot of people want to live in Miami because it's really warm down there and there's lots of jobs. All right? So I'm kind of going on a sidetrack. But those would be the settlement patterns of the United States. All right, climate. All right, how are people affected by the daily weather? So if you were thinking about, let's say you were doing India, right? Parts of India are very humid and very hot. So you'd have to adapt to that environment to make it so it's livable, right? So, or if you think a better example would even be Russia. So if you think about Russia, a lot of people aren't going to live in Siberia because it's so cold up there that it's unbearable, right? So how are people adapting? Well, for the most part, they move to the southwestern part of the country. All right? So some things like that. How does climate affect the people? Okay, and then lastly is technology. So one thing I really want to stress with technology is not just an iPad or a computer. Okay, it doesn't even need to be electronic. Technology could be an engineering thing. It could be any innovation that the country has created. So if you think about this highway system, this would also work as a technology because they engineered these roads that went across the entire country in all different directions. That is an innovation. That is something that other countries didn't have when we built it. Okay, so any of that would count. Anything would count. Technology is more than just electronics. I just want you to think broader than that. All right? Any questions? All right, so feel free to get into your groups and begin on this report.